Hey folks, it's Ken Puls and the Data Monkey here again to talk a little bit of Excel. And what I wanted to do today is I wanted to share something that was inspired by one of my students in the Ask Ken Anything sessions that I run around working with the Power Pivot data model. And the specific question was, we've got a data model that's built, but now we've decided that we're going to make a certain category of items commissionable. So how do we retrofit the data model in order to make that work? Should we be using measures? Should we be using calculated columns? What should we do? And how do we implement it? So that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to switch over to a demo right here. We've got our table of Hobbit transactions for sales here, and I've got my nice little categories table. And you'll notice that we've added a commission rate in here. Dwarven lanterns will be commissionable now at 10% of sales. Now, what I'm going to do is, before we go any further with this, the first question I had is, how do we figure out what is commissionable? So I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to add a very simple column to my data model. So we're just going to go into products via Power Query. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and take a look at this. And we're going to say, hey, you know what? Rather than try and do any crazy gymnastics inside DAX, let's modify our data a little bit. So we're going to go add column, conditional column, and I can use something here to track this because I can go and say, is this commissionable? What we'll do is we'll check whether or not the commission rate does not equal 0. And if that's the case, then we can go and say, yes, it's commissionable. Otherwise, no, it is not. Now, depending on how you do this, you might want to have a true false. You might want to have a 1 or a 0. Yes and no is good enough for me. Nice and clear and easy to follow. There we go. So our Dwarven lanterns are commissionable. Nothing else is. So I can go and change this. I'll just make this text. And now I can say home, close and load, and we can load this into our data model. Once we've got that done, immediately I now have the ability to go and add something to my pivot table to figure out which items are commissionable, just like this. We can go in, we can say, all right, let's call up our pivot table here. I can go and add a new slicer. There we are. We got commissionable. Let me just go and make these all nice and pretty here. So we'll go align this to the top. We're going to go and check the slicer height here, 3.57. Let's make that the same. There we are. And I'm also going to make sure this doesn't move around if my pivot table resizes. So we'll go to properties, don't move or size with cells. There we go. Slicer work is done. And just like this, I can filter down to just my Dwarven lanterns or to my non-commissionable items as well. But now, what if I want a measure that actually shows me how much is commissionable? Well, easy enough. This is just a simple calculate. So we'll go to Power Pivot, Measures, New Measure. Let's go with com sales dollars. Okay, so for commissionable sales. And what we'll do is we'll write a nice little calculate here. We're going to go and we're going to calculate our sales dollars. And what we're going to look at here is we're going to look at where our products commissionable equals yes. And now I'm just going to close off that. Oh, I love it when the dialog gives me straight bars instead of the rounded parenthesis I'm looking for. I'm going to go to currency. We'll just get rid of that. Drop that down to 0 decimals. There we go. Nice. Okay. So that looks like it should work. Let's go and say, okay. And boom, there we are. Commissionable sales are nice in place. Awesome. All right. Now, the next question as I was demoing this is, all right, but should the commission rate be in the dimension table or the fact table? And the answer to that one is, depends what you prefer to work with. So our commissionable flag for yes and no should absolutely be in the dimension table. Why? Well, because a slicer should be coming from a dimension, not from a fact. Okay, you're just going to save yourself a lot of hassle if you've got these coming from the right place. So this one definitely in the dimension table. How would we actually get our commission rates back in here? Well, we could merge them using Power Query to get them back in side by side with all the products. But we actually don't even need to do that either. What we could do is we could actually come back and we could say, let's go and write a measure for our commissions. So we're going to go new measure. And what we can do is we can go and say dollars. And here's how this one's going to work here. We're going to use a SumX function in this particular case here. We're going to go and we're going to sum across the sales table. And what we're going to look at in this particular case is we're going to take the sales and we're going to look at our sales, sales column, and we're going to multiply this by the related value from the products com rate column. There we go. Let me just make this a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier to read. So we're going to do a sum x over the sales table, and we're looking at the sales times the related commission rate. You can set that to a currency, dial that off, get rid of those decimals, and there we go. When we go and say okay at this point in time, what we should get is we should get our new commission of 26,202 times our 10%, which gives us our value that we're actually after. And from here, we can go and do whatever the heck else we want with DAX, maybe add some of these values together or whatnot. So there you go. The main sort of part to think about with this is that we actually have options, but the important part that I kind of like to look at here is that the best world is where we're using the right tool for the right job. So if we're looking for something for a very easy commissionable flag, that's a power query job. We want to get that into our data because this is going to change as we refresh things, but it's not going to change when we slice things. This is likely to change when we slice things, adding different items in and out if we start having more commissionable items. So that becomes a DAX job. So right tool for the right job. And I would say in this particular case, even if we set up our DAX differently, because maybe we had things in the fact table, still a DAX job for the actual commission calculation itself. So there we go. Hopefully you found that tip a little bit useful. I'll see you next time.